Here. Can we stand for a silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will go to interviews for civil service. Brad Melling, come on up and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to serve on the Civil Service Commission.
Sure. My name is Brad Malang. I've been a resident of Sioux City for about a year. Been in retail management for about 25, 30 years. Been involved in a lot of the hiring process in the places I've worked. Definitely believe it's important to be part of the community, and you know, the civil services is probably the cornerstone, I believe, and I'd like to be part of the process to recruit and establish a well-trained and diverse workplace to provide the necessary services the community needs to grow and prosper.
So what brought you to Sioux City?
My wife's work and my work. So my
Okay.
wife works for Mercy Hospital, and I work with Shopko.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Brad, I appreciate you applying for the position, and it's the city would have a difficult challenge if there wasn't for volunteers who step forward and help them with a lot of the duties that they're responsible for. But I would tell you, with the Civil Service Commission, from my involvement over the years, it's I want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. Don't want to scare you, but there is a major time commitment, and it's more than just the monthly meetings. It includes the opportunity to help with oral examinations for the civil service positions, and it also will probably involve you if disciplinary action is administered, and then there's an appeal, and then there'll be a hearing. So it requires, again, I'm very appreciative of everybody who gets involved in all of the committees the city's
Sure.
involved in, but that one in particular is really an important position that I'm very thankful for the people who are involved and to have taken the time to be a member of the commission, because the time commitment for them is tremendous. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, we talked about a little bit that with HR on Friday a little bit, and she explained, you know, the things they have going on. It does require a lot of time.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you knew what you were getting into.
Not just a monthly meeting.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly, and that was brought up to me on Friday and everything as well. So I do have some flexibility in my schedule, you know, to a point, but I'm ready to be involved in it. And
Great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, how many do we have? Is it just one?
Marissa Cummings.
Well, let me rephrase that. This position on the Civil Service Commission has to be a male.
Okay,
Two
Yes.
gender balance, there we go.
that's fine.
Good evening. My name is Marissa Cummings, and I was born and raised here in Siouxland. I was gone for about 18 years. I lived in Iowa City, Iowa, and worked for the University of Iowa, and just returned in 2012. And so part of, I believe strongly in civil service and in being there to help engage and also create a better community here in Siouxland. And so I applied for the Budget and Fiscal Committee to gain a better understanding of the inner workings of how everything kind of works here, and also to lend my experience. So, any questions?
How many openings do we have now?
There are 3 vacancies and 2 applications as of December 31st. That was 3 openings, so.
The ones that are currently serving are not reapplying?
I can't pronounce his last name, Barcher?
Bo Richter?
Sorry about that.
Tom
Yeah,
Bo
he
Richter.
reapplied. And then there's 2 in addition to Tom.
Is that also gender balance?
No, that is not.
Okay.
So the other two have not reapplied.
No, and Mark Tramontina is not going to
Okay.
He's the other one. Richard
Marissa,
Stoll.
what's your position at USD?
I work for a Office of Violence Against Women grant
Okay.
At USD?
at the University of South Dakota, yes.
Very good institution.
Thanks
Just throwing that out there. Right, Bob? I mean, I thought I'd let you know that, in case you didn't.
Well, glad you're back in the community. Thanks for applying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Raymond Thomas, I'm sorry.
Afternoon, City Council. My name is Raymond Thomas. I'm born and raised in Sioux City. However, I've been away from here for the past 10 years. I moved back about a year and a half or so ago when my mom got sick. But I'm very enthusiastic about the opportunity to be on the Parks and Recreation Board. I think there's some things I can bring to it. When I was back east, I got involved not from any type of administrative level, but as a user of the Parks and Recreation. And subsequently, after coming back, I've been involved with the trails down at the riverfront, things that I did many, many years ago when I was here. But looking forward to potentially being a part of that board and providing some input into it.
Have you had an opportunity to attend or look at any of the riverfront development?
Oh, yeah, I've been down there. I've seen it. I remember I remember it many years ago when there was nothing down there, and I'd take my dog down there and we'd run around on it. But then, of course, the riverboat and the other things that have come and gone since then.
Okay.
But I'm really enthusiastic, really mostly about the trails and some of the things I might be able to, provide some input on from a user of them pretty extensively, actually. So I'm grateful for that. And of course, the new Cone Park, I've got nieces and nephews that are going to be using that quite a bit too. And perhaps provide a little input on that.
You moved back from where?
DC, I lived out actually in Maryland, just north of the district, for about 10 years. So I moved out there to live vicariously through my young daughter. So, and she's old enough now that she doesn't want dad around too much anymore. So I'm back here.
Yeah.
My mom, like I said, my mom died about a year and a half ago, and so I decided to put roots back down. I went to North and Witt a couple of times, and actually Takeo Westmar before the Takeo days, and USD. I went to University of South Dakota as well. So.
Good.
I think your application indicated you use the DC trails a lot. Did you see anything there that you could apply here that you think would make us a little?
That from the East Coast? Out
Yes.
there? Oh, yeah, definitely. Some of the things like on the trail, as an example, perhaps signage for like distances, how far between different segments of the trail. Of course, connecting it, out in the Leeds area,
Yep.
So some of the things that could be integrated into that. Oh, yeah,
Great.
definitely. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. I got some other ideas too, but we'll see how they go.
How many openings is that, Lisa?
2 openings. We have 5 applications on file, not necessarily all want to interview though. And those are as of December 31st,
Oh,
those
okay.
expirations.
Sure.
Well, thank you. It's encouraging to have 2 people move back to Sioux City in the
Yes.
last 2 interviews. Thank you. We appreciate it. We'll
Thank
let
you very
know.
much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next is Sue Erickson. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I was told this was going to be more of a meet and greet, and I'm wondering where the cheese and crackers are. I'm really disappointed.
Charging those.
Yeah.
Just say if you went to school at USD and you'll have a leg up.
Uh-oh. Well, I've lived in or around Sioux City for about 30 years, but I spent about 10 to 12 years visiting Chicago on a regular basis and became very comfortable using the CTA there, both the buses and the trains. And it just kind of hit me at some point about 2 years ago, why am I not doing this in Sioux City? And so I started taking the bus to work on a regular basis, and I was just astonished and disappointed that everyone who finds out that I'm doing that looks at me like I've sprouted a second head and will say, why on earth do you want to, why would you do that? You have a car. And I realized that there's a lot of image issues with our public transit in Sioux City, and was just wondering, what can I do, to help address that, and then found out that there was a vacancy on the board, and so I decided to apply.
How'd you find out about the vacancy? I'm curious.
I actually saw a post on Facebook. Someone had taken a picture of, I don't know, it looked like a newspaper ad.
Yeah, the list of vacancies.
That listed,
we have.
yeah.
Go, Lisa.
And I had just started to think about that. I had asked one of my bus drivers, is there some kind of a board or something that a person could serve on? And it was like 3 days later that popped up on my Facebook feed. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm supposed to do this. So
for you.
Submitted the application.
Well, thank you. And we have how many openings?
3 vacancies on the transit board.
But I can only do one.
And,
No more people that are interested.
how are we on gender?
You just got to bring the cheese and crackers, that's all.
Why would that board not be gender balanced, even if the state doesn't require it? I would wonder.
Don't know. Nicole?
Sure, the council has the election to give direction to have that board be gender balanced if you would like. It's not required under state code, but we can certainly do that.
It is now. I mean, it's turned out that way. Maybe it wasn't intentional, but it's.
Wasn't intentional.
Right.
But we can add it into
Well,
the
thank you.
rules.
We appreciate you applying. We'll let you know.
Thank you.
So as far as the appointments go, civil service and transit, those positions have been expired for some time, so we'll go ahead and pull the council and appoint if you so desire. The other 2 are December 31st, so we'll wait till after December 31st to fill those. So you won't hear from us, Marissa or Raymond, you won't hear from us right away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to the consent agenda, which today is items 3 through 14D. You can consider each item to have passed unless a council member asks for a separate vote. If you want to speak on these items, please come up as I read them and state your name and address for the record. If you want to come up on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. Again, state your name and address for the record. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is the reading of the City Council minutes of November 27, 2017. 4 is a resolution appointing new members to the Mayor's Youth Commission for terms expiring December 31st of each student's senior year.
This year, we do have 50 new applications, and the balance between schools for the new applications are East has 7, Heelan is 27, North is 4, and West is 12. The ethnicity of this group is Caucasian is 39, and various writer's cramp.
I did that.
Mary?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I really appreciate the work in recruiting these students, and I would just want to make sure that we continue to encourage as much balance among the schools, and especially in regard to diversity as well. I know.
I think we're doing.
I appreciate those efforts very much.
I think we're doing better as far as the diversity goes. And later at the end of this meeting, when we do our report, you'll hear more.
Thank you.
Mary, how do you do the recruiting? How does that?
We do basically through the schools. They can go to Siouxland Care's website and get the application. They do have to fill it all out. It does have to be notarized. There's a good conduct policy that has to be signed by the student and the parent. And
You make any presentations at the schools?
no.
If you should, or if you do, or if that ever comes up, I would be interested in helping out, and I think the other council members would as well, because I think recruitment is important, and it's an amazing group. I mean, it's still, every time
It is
you
an
give
amazing group, that's for sure.
every time you give the report, I'm just blown away by the number of hours that students spend on city business. And it's,
I do at this
very
time want to
impressive.
take the opportunity to invite you next Monday night to Cone Park Lodge, where you are all invited for our senior recognition, and I know the mayor's going to be there to honor our seniors that are leaving now, so
What time is that?
7 o'clock.
7.
Mm-hmm.
Will we be
Are there any students from North, from the Youth Commission here? How come you only have 4? You guys need to recruit.
Well,
Used to
plus.
be one of our better schools back in the day.
I know.
How many
Well-
seniors are you losing, Mary?
About 40,
40? And hopefully 50 in return.
and we get 50 in return.
Yes.
Mary, one last thing. So with the recruitment side of it, you were saying it's more just kind of like a word of mouth, some stuff at the school, obviously with the groups there, and then on the website, they can get through. Is that what I'm
I
understanding?
do believe that the counselors at school is the main contact with the,
Okay. Because I'm just thinking if there was a flyer, if we could develop a flyer to send home, I know some of those get lost, but you know, if it got in front of a parent, they might be willing to encourage a little bit more. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Brainstorming.
I know we have 170-ish students now, and we you know, tell them if they have siblings or friends or
peers, yeah,
so
exactly.
that almost probably brings in quite a few as well.
Great.
Is there a limit to how many you have, or no, just?
No.
You know, and our line of questioning isn't being critical, because I mean, you definitely have quality over quantity anyway. And you want to make sure you continue that, because you do.
Well, we do have 179 that we work with, and so I think that's quantity as well.
Yes.
I remember 4 years ago, Pete and I were in a forum, and one of the Mayor's Youth Commission members asked us how many run the Mayor's Youth Commission. We missed it by about, 150?
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute releases of promissory notes, mortgages, and deed restrictions under the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. 6 is a resolution authorizing the Sioux City Police Department to accept a grant from CHIP for the children's books for the Sioux City PD Books for Kids program. 7 is a resolution adopting plans and specifications for the Asset Renewal Phase 1 dewatering and odor control procurement project. 8 is a resolution approving change order number 1 and authorizing final payment to Hebert Construction for demolition and removal of the Cook Park swimming pool.
May I ask a question on that, Matt, please? I'll be brief.
I don't care.
Okay, well, so what's our next step, Matt, for Cook Park after this? I was trying to find it in my notes and I couldn't, as far as the plans, the designs, that kind of thing.
Sure, Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. We bid out this, we're doing a little something different with this splash pad than we did with Leeds. We bid out the equipment and the installation separately. We've received the bids for the equipment, so we'll be awarding that, I believe, next Monday. And the splash pad itself is currently under design. So our goal is to have that up and running by June of next year.
Design of the splash pad, does that include the design of the entire park that we talked about?
No, those other things that we've talked about are separate projects, but they're all underway. So the goal is to have the basketball court, the splash pad, and the futsal all ready to go for next summer.
Okay.
All 3 separate projects.
And lighting? And that's going to be.
Yes, lighting will be a part of the splash pad project as well.
Okay. And you think those will be underway next summer, or is that going to depend upon our budget?
No, we have the funds. So we've already received the bid for the basketball court. We have the surface for the futsal, and then we're obviously underway with the splash pad as well.
Okay.
All things are in progress.
Good job.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember where we
Is there
were.
just one basketball court or 2?
2.
2? Good. Saw him playing yesterday at Spalding
Spalding.
Farm. Yeah.
It's getting a lot of use.
Yep. It's great.
Very good.
And Matt, remind me, because we flipped the projects so that we could try to get some use out of them before the end of the year. Remind me why that didn't work. I think I talked to you about it.
Yeah, the contractor that we used for the basketball courts, they did the Leaf Erickson tennis courts, they did the Spalding basketball courts, and then they were going to try to get to Cook after that, but they just ran out of weather. So we have the bid, and they're going to start first thing in the spring.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Number 9, annual reports. A is a motion to approve the Sioux City Public Museum's 2017 annual report. B is a motion approving the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board 2017 annual report. 10 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a contract with Duncan Parking Technologies to provide parking enforcement software and hardware. You got to do a lot of enforcement to pay for this equipment, right?
Look at the bow tie.
Look at that bow tie. Ooh.
Dave Carney,
Man.
Public Works Director.
Good buddy.
Well, this is the first time we replaced it in almost 20 years, so it's about due for replacement. They won't no longer service our old
I
equipment.
always like how you never bother to tell us who the other person was. You just said you evaluated and this was the best
Oh, no,
bang for our buck.
we brought it forward when we did the evaluation to choose which one vendor we were going to go with.
You did put in
Yep.
there the other vendors in the RCA?
Civic Smart, Municipal Citation Solutions, EDC Corporation,
Did you put the
Passport.
pricing?
We did when we brought the initial pricing. They gave us initial proposals and cost proposals in their proposal.
Oh, and this is
Civ-
one of those where you went back to renegotiate then?
Yes. Civic Smart, though, did their initial cost proposal was the lowest of all the ones submitted.
That's your story. B is a resolution approving a contract termination agreement between the city, the IEDA, and Curly's Foods. C is a resolution approving change order number 2 for the contract with Infratrack for the Riverfront Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Cleaning and Televising Project. D is a resolution approving a First Amendment to a minimum assessment agreement with Civic Partners Sioux City. 11 are actions relating to personnel. A is a resolution fixing the salary of the city manager. B is a resolution fixing the salary of the city attorney. 12 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution inviting proposals for the sale of land in the Teton Urban Renewal Area, accepting the proposal of the Sioux City Community School District, and setting a hearing for property at 4198 Cheyenne Boulevard. When will the deed actually transfer?
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. This property is located within an urban renewal area, so it requires 30-day period, so it's January 8th.
This is the sign at North High.
That's correct.
They've removed trees, and today they were up getting ready to put wire across, it looked like to me.
They have not received a sign permit at this time. They've been told when the property will be deeded to them. I know they did some.
But my
Iowa-
problem is they're working in our right of way. If I were to say to you, I want to buy a piece of property, and oh, by the way, a month ahead of time, I want to go cut trees, Don Trometer would say it's not going to happen. Do we have any kind of hold harmless for them working up there?
I was not asked by anybody with the school district to take down the trees. We did hold off on the sign permit until the property was deeded. I know Avery Brothers is working on some Iowa 1 calls on some utilities, and also we're waiting for a site plan from Avery Brothers and move forward with removing those.
We should have them sign a right of entry and hold harmless and
Thank you very much.
indemnification agreement with the city. I will prepare it and ask them to execute it.
It's a little late, they've already entered and cut trees down,
I
but
didn't know they were doing that.
not B are resolutions proposing to sell property at 2901 South Glass Street, the petitioners Helen Jacoby. C is a resolution proposing to sell property at 2842 South Coral Street, the petitioners Joel and Donna Wygand. D is a resolution proposing to sell property at 2837 South Glass Street, the petitioners Christopher Burke. E is a resolution proposing to sell property at 2900 South Coral Street, petitioners Chad Weaver. 13 are applications for beer and liquor license. See the list, come forward if you have any questions. 14 are receipt of minutes. See the list, come forward if you have any questions. Anyone to be heard on any of those items, please come forward now, state your name and address for the record.
Mayor, on item 12A, I need to abstain because of conflict of interest, and I'm going to abstain on 12B because Helen Jacoby is my office manager.
12A and 12B.
12A and 12B.
Yes, sir.
Joel Wigan, 2842 South Coral. We have trying to vacate or purchase the land in that. We have all 4 parties willing to, they made bids on it, started this process in February, talked to Mr. Hansen, and he told us this is the direction we have to go is in front of the board here. We're hoping you accept it.
It just passed, so you're good.
Yippee-i-yo.
Okay. We like our excited citizens, so thank you for making our day. Did he let you cut trees on it ahead of time? Thought I'd ask.
You're having way too much fun.
Who do we need to vote here?
Councilman Waters.
Got her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Passes 5-0. 15 is a hearing and resolution authorizing city manager to carry out an order of demolition of a dangerous or dilapidated structure, the property at 417 Main Street. The owner's Dale Winter, deferred from July 20th, 2017, deferred from October 23rd, 2017.
Darrell Bullock, Inspection Services.
Hey, Darrell.
Supervisor, manager, whatever. The property has moved forward quite well since the last time we were in front of council. I did speak to the contractor today that is doing the work there and got an update as far as what the interior is like, and I obviously went by and did the exterior as well just before the meeting, so a lot of progress has been made. Staff would like to change the recommendation to a motion to delete. The rest of the project can be monitored through the permits that are in place.
I'll move deletion.
Second.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin?
Aye.
16 is a hearing and resolution authorizing city manager to carry out an order to demolish a dangerous or dilapidated structure, the property at 722 Nebraska Street. The owner's Residential Equity Partners LLC, deferred from July 20th, 2017.
Before we get to that item, Mayor, just back on that last item.
Yes.
Darrell, I want to thank you because we get criticized a lot, but because you worked with the property owner, we were able to make progress on it.
Yes.
And they did what they told you they were going to do, and they're making progress, and we deleted the item. So it does work if people will work with you and give you progress reports and updates. So I just want to remind everyone of that because that's extremely important. If you don't hear from them and there's no work that's done and it continues to just linger, sometimes we have no choice.
Yeah, there's certain things that happen on those that are pretty good indicators when we're going to have success, and this had those indicators, so it did work well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
16.
I wish
I'll
I had
move
the
it.
same story there.
What's that?
I wish I had the same story on 16, but I don't.
Okay, I'll move it.
Second.
I want to be heard.
I received a phone call today from the owner. He said he had a family emergency and had to cancel his flight today. He'd like more time. He didn't give an indication how much. He just said that he would like more time to continue to find investors for the property. I told him that I would bring that message forward to the council tonight, that he has made that request.
If I understand the process, depending on how the vote goes, but if we vote to demolish, there's still that period of time.
Absolutely.
Some period of time that will.
That we have there is keeping the building secure. The city has had to go out and re-secure it since the last hearing. We do monitor it on a continuous basis to make sure that because we've had a lot of vagrants living in the building, which is extremely dangerous. The hallways are dark. The elevator shafts are wide open. It's just, there's fall trip hazards. Is the building going to fall down tomorrow? Absolutely not. It's structurally, it's a very sound building, but everything's been gutted out of it.
Who's
and it's a
working
very
up
big
there?
danger. He had hired, supposedly, according to him, he did hire somebody to go up there and maintain it. However, we have found it open and had to
This is the Y, right?
re-secure it at the Y, yes.
There was a trailer parked on the sidewalk there.
That was part of a hail damage replacement from the folks over next door at the Harmon Glass Building, and they were temporarily using that alleyway between the two.
Yeah, because he said that he was closing it up right after.
That didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen.
We
Got a lot of broken windows, too.
Yeah, the city ended up securing it to keep people out.
Have you had a lot of contact with them since July 20th?
3 occasions, all by phone.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. I'd report too, if you recall, when he was here in July, the property owner, he'd made reference to an individual he's hired out of Omaha to represent him locally for the project. Marty Doherty and I did meet with that individual from Omaha following the July council hearing where the item was deferred. At that time, we provided a list to them on what we needed, including the financials of the project to determine if the project could be successful, and we've never received that information.
We can blame the county for this because they sell these tax certificates to people in California that think they really have bought something. And then when they find out they haven't, it falls back on us.
Absolutely.
Well, I understand, like Dan, if we voted to delete this, that it takes a period of time before demolition would happen. But under the financial impact on this item, You say demolition funds will be expended on other more seriously dilapidated structures. So the question for me is, even if we vote to delete, are we really going to tear this down or not? Is it going to be there forever?
I wouldn't ask council for a motion to delete this. If at anything, maybe a deferral, but you know, I try to be very, very consistent in my recommendations, which as you see, it's not wavered since when originally to council, which is from demolition. And I don't, we've had.
Demolish.
Yeah, if I said delete, I apologize, I meant demolish.
Demolish,
It kind of sounds like from your statement on the financial impact that it may be a while before we could ever afford to do it.
There is some issues. I did send back in my budget this year, I did reduce my CIP because this had been deferred and I didn't think those monies would necessarily be used this year. So I have saved some monies to be able to carry forward from previous CIPs to accumulate the funds to do this. Now, I might be a little short depending on what the estimates come in at, but we would do a preliminary request for proposals on this before we send it out to bid, so that we knew that we were on very solid ground with it. The cleanup of the asbestos debris that's left in the building is probably one of the biggest factors, because the owner that bought this from the Y for $1 went in there and stripped everything out illegally, and there is dust, asbestos dust everywhere. You walk through it, it becomes airborne as soon as you walk through the building. Those fibers you're breathing in. If you're not wearing a mask, you're immediately breathing in asbestos fibers. And to go in and have to basically vacuum, wet seal, vacuum mop up that entire structure is going to be very costly.
The motion
definitely a
is to
mess.
demolish.
Yes.
Yes.
Passes 5-0. 17 is a hearing and resolution authorizing city manager to carry out an order to demolish a dangerous or dilapidated structure. The property is 1408 Main Street. The owner is Rita Ann Schlotman, deferred from July 20, 2017, and deferred from October 10th.
It's sided, it's got new windows in it. It's
Moving forward.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Call the roll, please.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. Thank you. 18 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell property and authorizing a city deed. The property at 1616 West 31st Street. The petitioners Joe and Stephanie Aldina. I'll move it.
Second.
Working okay?
I think so.
Red light stays on.
Seems to be.
Yeah.
Passes 5-0. 19 is a hearing and resolution approving a proposal to sell real property and authorizing a city deed. The property at 3100 Talbot Road. The petitioners, the Nature Conservatory. The only thing that I would ask on this is, I know that we should sell property, and I'm the one that squeals the loudest when we don't, but this is a really good group. And do they have federal money or a grant money to pay for this? Because if it's coming out of money that they could otherwise use for something else, I would question if the city shouldn't be their partner in this and give them this land.
I actually felt the same way.
Well, I knew you would.
And
Yeah. I guess that.
Mayor, I don't think they receive any federal funding at all, do they?
I think it's private. Yeah,
It's all private funding by their board of directors that they go out and solicit.
We can defer and follow up with Graham or someone too.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. We have worked with this group extensively on all this property when we move forward to vacate it. Most of it is vacated streets and alleyways. We also worked with legal to determine the formula price of the property. As you know, we're required to sell the property at formula price, or at fair market value price, I should say. We currently have a policy set forth that the minimum would be 25 cents a square foot. Obviously, with this amount of square footage here, it was quite significant. So we did our own analysis of the property, determined the property is not developable. It's very rough. The terrain is nearly impossible to develop. And so looking at assessed values in the area, we did reduce that down to 5 cents a square foot. knowing that all the variables within the property and it's not developable. And that was agreed upon by both the city and the group. So we are now at 5 cents a square foot, which brings it down to that number you have in front of you.
Just wondering where they get their money.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I would have to defer to the group, and I'm not sure if they're here tonight.
What did they say about the price, the asking price?
Their initial response is they wanted the property for nothing, and we worked through that negotiations and ultimately got it down to the 5 cents a square foot, which I believe they're agreeable to. They've signed that. But all along the process, they have made statements that it's very difficult to come up with the funds to pay for the property. And I believe without a development agreement, I'm not sure of any other way to proceed forward with anything lower than what we have here in front of us.
Including the payment plan?
That could be acceptable.
Well, we could probably do a 20-year, 1% interest. We seem to do that for developers that actually make money around this place. Just thought I'd throw that out today too, as long as I was on a roll. You can appreciate that, I'm sure.
Thanks.
I don't know, if
there was a way to do it, I'd be in favor of it. To
Yeah,
give it to
exactly.
them without, but I don't know if there isn't apparently.
Well, this is not an urban renewal area. Are you telling me you can't give property away?
Correct, unless this council wants to consider further terra gratis under state code, which we've talked about before. But the council would have to adopt a different policy that may come forward that would request the same type of reduction in the future for consistency.
So would a payment plan be out of line? You gave them a 5-year?
The council could consider a forgivable loan potentially, or a payment plan. All that would have to be discussed with the purchaser.
But I mean, if you did a payment plan, low interest, no interest, for 5 years, they pay the $2,300.
Jeff, what do they want to do with the land?
Just
Nothing.
add it to the conservancy for protection of the property.
They own the prairie on the other side.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not like a rush that they need to have this land, right? I mean, I think we could come up with a comparable.
They just want to make sure that, yeah, no one else gets that.
Yeah.
Because it's been a process, right? I mean, while other people were.
Yeah, we've been working with them.
Economic development grant for $2,300.
We've been working with them for quite a while.
A good city manager could figure out how to do that.
It's under your limits.
I'm gonna move we defer it and you can give us some
There's some-
alternatives next week.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll second.
And
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
deferring
One
Next
week?
week,
Okay.
December 11th.
December 11th.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Brecken?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye. 20 is a hearing resolution approving plans and specifications for the City Hall carpet remodel project. 20, oh, we gotta move that, I'm sorry.
I'll move it.
Second.
I just had a question about that. How often do we do that?
This carpet's never been replaced, has it?
No.
19,
We've replaced carpet on
Second and third.
1998, I remember it
97.
well.
97.
97, no.
Yeah, we're 20 years old this year. We moved in August of 97.
I was in this building for a whole year before I left?
Evidently.
Maybe not a full year,
Are
but
you sure? I was here through 98, and I don't think we moved in until,
We're positive.
we,
on this.
we are? Okay.
August of 97.
I started in April.
Well, anyway, I knew it was old.
You might get your $20 back.
I might.
I let her off on that. That's how nice a guy, you know. Had to teach her a lesson.
Okay, I just wanted to know. Thank you.
I owed 10 of that.
Yes.
Do we have a motion in a second on that?
Yes, we do.
You may use your voting panel.
Do we vote? Who calls on the same pattern or anything like that?
If you'd like to have a choice in the color, you'll get to serve on a committee, but we're not gonna go there today, okay? It passes 5-0. I don't do paint, I don't do carpet, so we're moving on. 21's a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Southgate Drive manhole rehabilitation project. I'll move it.
Second.
That was funny.
No?
It's yours, yeah, can you? No?
Who?
Okay, let me just call it then. Rhonda, I'm sorry, Capron?
What? Aye.
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
22 is an ordinance amending several sections of the municipal code to update language, remove vagueness, and revise criminal penalties. I'll move it.
Second.
Try it again. That worked, thank you.
Passes 5-0. Anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
I'll move it.
Second. You mean
Greckin?
waiving?
Aye.
Moore?
Waiving.
Yeah,
Yes.
Expecting
Aye.
6,500.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
I'll move second and third.
Second.
Passes 5-0. Port billing, I'll move it.
Second.
Excuse me.
More, you had questions on this, I believe. Did you get all
I-
your answers?
I do, and I've asked the director if you could maybe just walk us through some of the collection or the collecting, not collections, because that's a different deal under a separate contract, but as far as collecting, whether we're at 30% or what the percentages are and what the billing history, the success of a Life Quest is?
As far as the billing success, as far as when we looked at the proposals, they had the most success in increasing services reimbursement, and that's just through working those claims time and time again.
You need this, I'm not trying to interrupt, but state your name,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Annette, please.
Got to get used to this.
I know.
Jim Hayden, 715 Southwest County.
Are you at a mic? There we go. We'll get this routine down.
I'll get this
You'll
routine.
be back.
Yeah, I probably will. So basically, we look at how much can get reimbursed. The amount you bill is never necessarily the amount you get because Medicare and Medicaid write off a certain amount. They force you to take what they offer for reimbursement. So there's always a certain write-off with Medicare and Medicaid. Now that 30% I think you were looking at, from what I was able to tell, was the proposed start percentage for us, and that's after those Medicare and Medicaid adjustments. Which 30%, if we're still doing that in a year, you guys have my blessing to get rid of me.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Are you saying you're going to collect 30, they're going to collect 30% of what, or they're, because of the write-off, it's going to net 30%?
No, I think what they were looking at is that 30% is a starting point where they feel that we probably are about now. I guess I don't know where that 30% came from.
If I may, Chief Everett, if I may, I use 30% to base our start budget on, based on Siouxland paramedics numbers. And
So they only collect 30% of what they bill?
right. And so what we're seeing, according to some of the data that we got from the company today, is 98% success rate with Medicare collections, but that's at that reduced rate that they allow.
And what is that rate? Do you have any idea?
Medicare is significantly higher than Medicaid, and there's different rates. For instance, a basic life support non-emergency call, theirs is $207.80 is what they allow. So you can bill whatever you set your bill at. They're going to allow you $207.80 on a
No,
basic
yeah,
life
it's not that
support.
simple. You don't get to set your bill whatever you want either.
What's that?
You do not, trust me, you do not get to set your bill whatever you think. You have to be in a range.
You have to,
And
yeah,
that
you have
company
to
will know
stay in
what
a
the
certain
range
range.
is, but You can't bill 10,000 and,
No, no. And that goes up to an advanced life support 2 call, which includes quite a few of your medications, I think up to 3 medications and so many different procedures. That's up to $571.46. So that's significantly reduced. Medicaid is quite a bit less. And they actually, about 2 years ago, gave us a 10% increase, which still is very low. For the basic life support non-emergency is $84.67 that they allow for a bill. And then the ALS2 is $232.84. So there's a significant reduction in that. But if they collect, the way this billing company is proposing their numbers, when they say 90%, they're going to get it up to 90%. That's not of your bill. That's of the actual allowable Medicare and Medicaid. Does that make sense?
Yep. You know, I think I'm following you, but let me just tell you what was alarming to me, and maybe I didn't explain it well in the email.
It's alarming to me as well, but it's a starting point, and it's a great point to start at for budget because you have nowhere to go but up.
Well, but here's what jumped out at me where we have it is estimated that Sioux City Fire Rescue will bill for approximately 6,500 responses annually for an estimated billing amount of $5.5 million. And of the estimated $5.5 million, we anticipate net collections to be $1.7 million. So that's where I was getting the 30%. And I'm starting to already think of the budget process that we've got coming up.
Absolutely. Collection average is somewhere between 40 and 42 to 43% of what's billed.
well,
And it's
part of it is you're going to bill $1,000 to Medicare. Right. But they're only going to pay you 207. But you've got to build 1,000 to build the, it's a
strange game.
You
and
have to
there's-
build
I don't,
to establish higher numbers, even though you don't collect it, because you never, Iowa's one of those states that gets ripped because we're a low reimbursement state. In New York, they would get reimbursed that $1,000 in New York City. But because we provide services cheaper than anywhere else, we get penalized for that. It's ridiculous.
and whatever your rates are, you have to bill everybody that same rate.
And you can't write them off either. You got to carry them on the books forever and ever and ever.
But reviewing Siouxland's numbers, I used the lower figure of 30 that they had experienced in the past to build a budget so that, we had positive results moving forward. I didn't want to overestimate our collections. I'd rather underestimate them.
Well,
It may not even be that good because you're not going to get transport money.
but are you telling, I want to make sure I'm following this. Are you telling me, though, that what we will bill won't necessarily be our cost? In other words, when we do our
Their
budget.
cost is like $1,000 a run.
So, and you're saying they're only going to allow a payment of $200 and some dollars. Let's say $200. Who's paying the $800? The city is?
Basically, that's written off. The billing company will write that off
Over
as
time,
something that
but
you
they
can't,
have to
yeah,
try to
something that
collect.
you can't collect.
You have to try to collect that money.
From the individual.
And I don't think I think there's some legality issues with that. With Medicare and Medicaid, I don't think you can go back and collect that from the patient. I think you have to accept what.
Well, that's
I'll have to
that's a
look
different
into
kind
that.
of write-off than a write-off for bad debt. There's two different write-offs, is right.
But you also have private insurance payers. You have
Right.
cash payers. You have different kinds of payers. So that's where that rate will fluctuate and you hopefully make up some of that money.
So not everybody has Medicare or Medicaid either, so,
And that's you don't get paid.
wow.
You have to bill and you have to try to collect.
In Iowa, you're looking at about 60% have some form of Medicare and Medicaid that will utilize the ambulance service.
Correct me if I'm wrong, too, because this might be another concern I have that's not well-founded, but, so when we talk about Medicaid, isn't that what we're struggling with in the state of Iowa right now because we went privatization? And so a lot of claims are being denied by the private companies?
They've been struggling with that for a number of years. In fact, just a couple of years ago, and talking to the legislators down in Des Moines, they had a $200 million deficit at that point in Medicaid in the state budget. So I mean, the money, they're going to have to find creative ways of funding that. And unfortunately, until they figure that out, we're kind of caught in the middle.
Well, and you helped a lot with the emails back to me, and I appreciate that, but I still can't get my head around the impact this is gonna have on the city's budget, to just be real honest with you. I can't.
It's gonna be bad.
What's gonna be real bad if we're talking these
I
kind
think
of.
there was one guy that said that here when you,
If we're talking these kind of numbers. And how,
Reimbursement rates on EMS is emergency services is not good, and that's why you're seeing governments taking it over.
but it could be, it could be as much as $4 million.
I'd bet you it'll be more than 4 million.
That we haven't had in the past. Our subsidy in the past to the entity, wasn't it, Mayor, something like
175.
175,000?
Are you estimating a $4 million subsidy to us to run this?
No.
Okay.
That's what he's thinking, but that's not the case. But you are gonna have $4 million easily in write-offs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We will?
500,000 or 600,000 at a minimum.
Yeah.
Which is what
Well,
you
if you look at-
estimated. You estimated 600K when we came to us.
Yes, correct.
Well, what's the write-off process? I think that's where the
If it costs
confusion
us
is.
900K.
What is that process then? You have the write-offs for the 4 million.
7 million back, won't we?
That's a process I'm sorry to say I'm going to have to learn.
Everybody that you're billing, you have to bill that rate. So let's say that's $1,000.
Okay.
So if I'm selling a wheelchair, I gotta bill everybody that rate.
Right.
But Medicare may only pay me $700 for that wheelchair. Or they may only pay you $200 for that $1,000 ride. So then you've gotta write that $800 off. Then the other problem you're gonna have is you're gonna pick up somebody out in the street tonight that doesn't have any insurance whatsoever, and you're not gonna be able to collect that money. That's a different type. That's a bad debt. One's a price adjustment, one's a bad debt, but all in all, it'll be over $4 million. That's the simplest way to put it.
But, and that helps me, but again, that's not really what I would look at as out-of-pocket expenses.
We're $600,000 subsidy in this program, running ambulances.
Is that what you,
Pay the 4 million is what he's saying.
Yeah, for the first year.
is your first year budget at that 600?
That's the estimate we put together based on the numbers from originally.
So you've added that to your,
And based on this 30%. So hopefully we do a little better.
but you've added 600,000 to your budget for
Yes.
19 to pay for the ambulance service.
Somehow I think even if you do better than the collection, you'll still want the $600 subsidy, but we'll wait and see at the end of the year. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there today, chief, you know, 'cause we've kind of seen how that works around here.
But I hope that answer helps.
It helps a lot, yes.
And the more information we get on it, we can sure forward it to you.
Okay. And maybe I'm being, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I know we've got the budgets coming up, and I want to see how that all fits in. And that helps, Pete, so we're talking really 600,000, not 4 million.
Correct. Oh, I think it's confusing and it's stuff that we gotta know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, hey, Jim, good job on your first time up here.
Officially.
Yeah, officially.
Mr. Gretkin, did you have anything you were going to add?
Well, I think the 600 may be more when you throw in the cost of what you'll pay for the billing service. So it's probably going to be more like $900,000. But if you're collecting 1.7, I'm trying to figure out how there won't be a deficit there, will there? Or will
Yeah,
there be?
because he figured the 1.5 or 1.7 is income and still came in with the 600 plus subsidy.
Oh,
Correct?
is that correct?
Yes.
I know.
I
you
am
thought you were
100%
getting
correct.
Door. I know, but
You-
what was?
You already budgeted the 1.5 to 1.7 million worth
Yes.
of revenue, and after that, you still have a $600,000 subsidy.
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually a higher subsidy than that. We're anticipating
Okay.
about a $900,000 subsidy.
Originally, you told us when you sold us this,
But
wonderful service, it was 600, but thank you very much.
You bet. And the billing's about 5.5 is what they
You know,
get.
Yeah.
and one last thing, just for the record, so I'm not
$2.5
criticized
million
about the
for
service. The
2.6
service is needed, and I'm all for
dollars.
it. I'm just trying to figure out the numbers, and you're doing a good job helping me with that, but I want to make sure I understand what all the costs are, what our revenues are, and what our write-offs
Any way we can help.
would have to be, so thank you.
Thanks.
And just for the record, we'll never know what we really might have done if we'd have actually bid this out, but I'll let that go today. Who are you waiting on?
Might be me.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm still thinking.
there we go.
passes 5-0. 24 is a resolution authorizing city manager to sign a funding agreement between the city and Aberdeen Apartments LLC to provide home funds for the rehabilitation of the Aberdeen Apartments, 1120 Nebraska Street, deferred from November 20th, 2017, deferred from November 27th, 2017, and a motion is requested to delete this item. I'll move that.
Second.
Jill Weinerscheid, Neighborhood Services Management. However, since we informed them that we were looking at requesting a deletion, we have been able to move forward a little bit in negotiations. So right now we're hoping to bring something back still by the end of December.
Great.
Thanks, Jill.
Hey, Jill, how'd your walkthrough go on West 7th Street the other day?
Great.
Good, okay,
Yep.
good.
Good.
Things looking good?
Yep, there's still some work to be done. They're actually probably pouring right now as we speak. So
Okay,
hopefully wrap that up soon.
good, thanks.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Abstain?
Scott,
Aye.
Waters. Aye. Capron.
Aye.
25 is a resolution awarding a purchase order to road machinery and supplies for 7 loaders. I'll move that.
Second.
Darrell Bullock, Acting Fleet Supervisor. After a long consideration of all the numbers and facts, and looking back at where we were at with the previous choice of machines, we looked at a lot of things, and one of the things was the warranty and what was going to be covered under that warranty for what period of time. What has been brought forward to you for the Komatsus does include an all-inclusive service. These are costs that would be incurred no matter what manufacturer or machine you would purchase. That would be covered under this service plan that was included in the price of that. When you look at all the other factors for the tracking mechanisms and things like that will continue to help us with our costs on the loaders and keep those much lower, the Komatsu came out as the lowest bid for all things considered. One of the things that I was not necessarily listed in here for all-inclusive was some of the costs of the machines that we're currently under, and this is why we've spent so much time and anguish looking over and trying to make this recommendation to council. If you look at the first number of years, which would be included in this service program, we spent collectively over the 7 machines that we have over $350,000 in costs of repairs. Now, all of those were not obviously service items, but some of those, a good portion of those would have been covered. Most of these machines that we're dealing with right now have already cost us more in service and repairs than the machines cost us initially new. So we spent a lot of time about this, making sure that we were spending the taxpayers' dollars well, and I feel we have.
Anyone else to be heard?
I just have some questions. I don't feel like I'm a real good student today. I'm sorry, but I was with you on well, first of all, the first table refers to RFQ 244605, and I understand that it should be 248072.
Typo, yes.
And that shows road machinery being at the $860,000, right? $865.95, which is the low bid.
There's a better chart. I can actually see even with my read cheaters. Yes.
The $865.95 compared to
Yes.
the $904, okay. And that's on the 5 of them.
That's the 5 2.5 cubic yard loaders, and then there's also one there for the 3.5 and for a 4 cubic yard as well. There's 3 charts there, depending on the size of the machines. The first one is for 5 machines at 2.5 cubic yards. That's the size of the bucket, the size of the materials it can handle. And then the one at 3.5 and one at 4.
Okay. So those are the 3 charts that you're saying road machinery is the low bidder on each of those, on the 5, 1, and 1.
Right, based on the same type of criteria.
I think what's throwing me off and where I'm getting confused is on the very last chart, the total for 7 loaders. It shows the
6.
Well, no, it says total for 7 loaders. At the very last chart.
Yes.
Where
Oh, yeah.
where it shows road
I got you.
machinery at price $1,280,981.
That was based, that chart there, those rest of those are the actual accumulation of what came in on paper before you do the full cost of things. In other words, you figure in the consideration of what your service is going to cost you, what you're tracking on the computers as far as the diagnostics are going to cost you, what the manuals are going to cost you. That was what it came in on the paper. That's just a reflection of what came in on the paper before you do what is on the first 3 charts there. Once you
Last
look at
3, Dan, are the straight bids. The first 3 are those bids where we've then added or subtracted the cost
Their
of
analysis.
the warranty and the brake.
Right.
Yeah, their analysis.
our analysis, yes.
That makes
Okay, okay, so go back to the first chart. So I trust you
Yes.
I trust you did a fair analysis, but how, so for example, maintenance agreement under road machinery and supplies, you have 0. Under routers, you have $26,294.91. Is that a price they gave you?
That would be based on the numbers that they gave us for the service that would be included, yes.
So that's their number.
Yeah, when you have new machines like this, you have a scheduled maintenance period that you have to do with the different oils and filters that you have to maintain to keep your warranties in place. Those services are included. Other manufacturers said that they would give us an
That
oil
is the
filter.
price that they gave you.
This was a price calculated off what they gave us, yes.
So the $300 for the manuals, that's the price.
That's a price they gave us. Each one of those numbers was substantiated by routers.
That's,
Whereas Caterpillar provides it, right? That's why
In some
they're
yeah, Komatsu.
Komatsu provide, it's all
Right,
included in Komatsu's
right.
price.
yeah.
Caterpillar did have costs in certain categories as well.
So you have to take it over there to get it serviced then?
They will come to our site. They will also provide instructions for our mechanics how to continue it once the agreement is done after the 5-year period.
No, I want to make sure they're doing it. If they say they're doing it, I don't want our mechanics touching them.
No, he's talking about after the agreements.
After the agreement,
Well, after the agreement's how long?
5 years.
5 years.
Well, how long do we keep a loader?
10. If these machines continue to perform, I would support going beyond the 10 years. I think you could, with the life cycle that we could see out of these quality of machines, I think you're looking at more like 15, to be very honest with you, but I can't stand here and make that statement until we get into the usage.
So they get used about 1,000 hours a year?
Approximately. Depends on the snow, very honestly.
I mean, you figure that's about half of a normal work year. 2,000 hours is typically a normal work year. So.
Okay.
Not touching that one.
So apples to apples.
Thank you.
This is the lowest bid.
Apple, if you're, yes, we made sure that,
Apples.
when we did this, we want to make sure that we were really giving a true reflection of what our costs are going to be in this equipment. We don't want to end up with a situation where we're so upside down in a piece of equipment and the trade-ins are nothing. You know, we want to make sure that we can keep a product and what we're going to be a true reflection of our cost to the city.
And I think that's a factor we didn't include in there that I think will be on the back end a bonus for either Komatsu or CAT is that the trade-in value I think would be much higher than the Hyundai.
I didn't include what projected costs would be for trade-in or values simply because I can't substantiate that. I only put in here what we could substantiate.
And I'm sorry to do this to you, but just tell me again why you're showing this chart for the total for 7 loaders at the very end.
That's because that was
the actual bid. That's the actual bid responses before the analysis was done. Showing.
Oh, so when you did the analysis, that's when you asked how much do you charge for
Right.
your manuals?
Absolutely.
How much do you charge for warranties?
Yep.
I was
Absolutely.
gonna say,
The lights, okay. it's
it came
coming
on
up.
for me too, and I think the reason I was
Gosh, I'm
confused
sorry.
is almost because I would have liked the information flipped. like, okay, these are the charts that they gave us. These were all the bids that we received. Here's our analysis of those three. And I was confused too.
And
because I called council.
we struggled with that a little bit as far as where we want to put that in the order of the RCA, but ultimately we ended up coming with this one. And again, I know it's a lot of information because there's a lot of analysis. We spent a lot of time on this, making sure we get it right.
Yeah, and then also the inclusion at the end of John Deere and Case and all those.
Right.
That's because then that's what the initial proposal went out to. Then you
Right.
determined the top three.
Right.
And that's when you did your analysis.
Yes.
Of those
Well,
top
some of those didn't
Some of
meet
those-
spec, like John Deere couldn't meet all the specs that we had.
Some of them had a problem with controls. Some of them had a different way of developing horsepower, and they were without those requirements. So there's a
Either
lot
way,
of different
just
areas.
determine that those
Right.
three
It came down to
are
those three. Yep.
And the,
Yes, that makes more sense.
and the people that are going to be using these, they're satisfied with this?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
had
we
all,
actually-
all three came out and demoed.
Yeah, we brought all three machines
And
out, put them
Komatsu-
out there.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
And the Komatsu was
excellent.
the favored by the employees, right?
Yes.
Komatsu was favored by the employees.
Yeah, we had the mechanics look at it and the operators of the
Okay.
machines as well.
All right. Well, thanks for
Absolutely.
hanging in there with me.
Nope, not a problem.
I just want to make sure I make an informed decision, a good decision that I can defend if I need
That's
to.
what we're trying to make sure we provided for.
Appreciate that.
Anyone else we heard? Don't want to be heard?
Motion was made. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Passes 5-0. Mayor's Youth Commission 2017 accomplishments. Should put you guys on first so you didn't have to sit there for an hour.
It's a very good experience. Mary Coaster, Siouxland Cares, and Mayor's Youth Commission. I'll be running a PowerPoint, and I have a group of our executive committee that's going to tell you how they've been kept busy and productive for this year. They will introduce themselves and tell what school they're from.
Taven Schmall, West High School.
Wait, I have to get the PowerPoint up first.
That's an address for the.
Would you pass?
No. I'll talk to you about that.
No, it's a junior colleague that didn't believe me.
Oh, this needs to be you. The guy that wanted to.
Taven Schmall, West High School. The Sioux City Mayor's Youth Commission was formed in 1988 and involves students from all high schools in Sioux City, homeschooled students, and students who live in Sioux City but attend a school out of town. The mission of the Mayor's Youth Commission is to explore, communicate, and provide for the needs, problems, issues, and activities affecting the city's youth. The Mayor's Youth Commission's goals are for youth to make a positive impact in their community and feel valued, to encourage youth to develop into their full potential, to hold leadership sessions for youth to increase their knowledge and skills, and to participate in community service and activities, and to have the youth feel that they have made a positive contribution to society.
Good job, thanks.
I'm Libby Markham from Bishop Heelan. Mayor Scott swore in our 2017 Mayor Taven Schmall and our Mayor Pro Tem, myself, Libby Markham. Other members of our Executive Council include our Finance Director, Grace Hoke, our Legal Director, John Paul Keene, our Administrative Services Director, Kyra Hess, our Co-Marketing Directors, Peyton Boermeer, Carolyn Halber, Katie Nemani, and Emily Voltz, and our Project Directors, Jordan Abrams, Michaela Boshart, Thomas Burkhart, Carly Gassaway, Alexis Hunley, Calvin Keller, Shelby Murray, Aaliyah Nelson, and Mariah Parker.
You have a great position too, you know that.
Yep.
Says Pro Tem.
I'm Carolyn Halber with Bishop Heelan 2. Our Mayor's Youth Commission and Young Ambassador membership totals 176. Yeah. Our Mayor's Youth Commission members make up 149 of that number, and our Young Ambassadors 27. Our members contributed 4,398 volunteer hours to our community through November 2017. That's nearly 25 hours per active member. We raised $255.86 for African Orphanage Project to sponsor 2 children at BB's Hope Orphanage, and that was coordinated by our member, Danny Carlson. We contributed $2,012 through popcorn sales to benefit Cone Park's ice rink refrigeration. We raised $166.89 for hurricane relief. And in December, members conduct a toy drive for Women and Children's Shelter, coordinated by Young Ambassador Devaney Spidell. This is a list of the 65 activities Mayor's Youth Commission and Young Ambassadors participate in from January through November of 2017 and contributed 4,398.
That is amazing.
It is, good
It's
job.
Just amazing.
I had a question. Can you go back 2 slides? And maybe I missed it. I apologize. Or maybe I'm just naive or just don't know. The Mayor's Youth Commission and the Young Ambassadors, what's the difference or what's the differentiation?
The Young Ambassadors the program is the Mayor's Youth Commission. Each spring, we collect applications for Young Ambassadors, and from those, we choose 10 that we will mentor throughout the year. So we have several years of Young Ambassadors because you can be anywhere from 4th grade through 7th grade as a Young Ambassador. So we've got...
The Farm League.
Got it.
You know, and this
That makes sense now. Sorry.
Yeah, this slide right here, I mean, it just really summarizes who you are and what our community, how great our community is because of students like you. And I really mean that. I mean, you guys are criticized all the time. I'm talking about just students in general, about you don't do this, you don't do that. But I mean, just look at this. And that's from January to November. It's not even a full year. And it's just really incredibly good. And you should all be proud of yourselves for making that effort and making a difference in Sioux City. Thank you for that. I'll shut up now.
Oh, no, you're all good. Hi, I'm Peyton Beaumier, and I'm a senior at West High School. I'm just going to start with some of the activities. Being the No Parent Sessions were held here in February and April. We had a Preparing for Life Beyond High School and a Law and Consequences session. And then we also had the Little Free Library Project. NYC created a total of 10 Little Free Libraries located throughout the city for citizens to take a book and or to leave a book.
That's been a great project too, hasn't it? It's been
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah, my name is Aaliyah Nelson, and I'm from North. And NYC members, we've raised money to establish the Grandview Park disc golf course. And then our Young Ambassador ceremony, we each spring our NYC accepts nominations for students of 4th to 7th grade for the Young Ambassadors. And this program honors students who demonstrate the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. And as a Young Ambassador previously, I really, really enjoyed it.
Good job.
Good job.
Can you make sure to get the mayor out to the disc golf course? I think he'd like that. Hey, I'll go with you. I'll roll around. All right.
Not today, it's cold and windy.
Hi, I'm Alexis Hunley, and I go to North High School. Mayor's Youth Commission students helped with the League of Women Voters candidate forums by being timers and greeters. Peyton Beaumier was chosen to be one of the panelists at the school board forum.
By the way, Councilman Gretkin loved you guys with the timing.
Those timers are good.
Good job.
Those timers are good.
Those council
They're right
forums-
on. They won't let you go by.
Council forums were pretty boring with that cast of characters this year.
Approximately 20 people attended the Des Moines Legislative Day on March 15th.
Hi, I'm Carly Gasaway, and I go to West. NYC students helped with the Siouxland Cares 30th anniversary celebration and assisted Miracle League kids play wiffle ball. And then also, NYC conducted a fundraising project to benefit Cone Park. A total of 355 bags of Jolly Times coated kernels popcorn was sold, and we were able to present Parks and Rec Director Matt Salvatore a check in the amount of $2,012 to be used for the ice rink at Cone Park.
Good job. Very good job.
Really good job.
Hi, I'm Grace Hoke. I'm a junior at East High School. Mayor's Youth Commission collected a total of $166.89 for hurricane relief. And on November 20th, Mayor's Youth Commission took part in the downtown for the holiday lighted parade. We wore lighted necklaces and handed out 3,000 candy canes to children along the parade route.
Hi, everyone. My name is John Paul Keene. I'm with Bishop Keene. I'm a senior there. The Mayor's Youth Commission meetings are held generally on the third Monday of every month here in the council chambers. We have a lot of people, so we have to have them at a place, and this is a great place to have it. And we've had a variety of different presentations at our meeting, and these are just a list of those. We've also had several adult advisors to guide us along the way, and we'd be happy to answer them.
I do have a question for any one of you. Do you ever get frustrated with what you're trying to get accomplished or what you're trying to do, or does it come pretty easy?
In what regards?
Just in anything you do during the year, whether it's your meetings, whether it's projects you undertake, fundraising events that you want to do. I mean, because you're kind of professional in a way in that you do this summary and it kind of makes it look easy, but we all know how hard the work is and how difficult things can be sometimes. So I was just wondering if you ever have it's kind of like the minuses and the pluses of life in general.
I think from my perspective, since there's so many kids that are in the Mayor's Youth Commission and there's so much opportunity for many hands working together to do things, it can be a pretty easy task if there's so many people working together on things. That's just from my perspective. But
Personally, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Why don't you come up to the speaker?
Personally, I've really enjoyed they've Mayor's Youth Commission, we really are really open to ideas, and we try to hear everybody out. And I'm a huge dog person and animal person in general, and it was really exciting to see that that I was able to help push and add the Siouxland Humane Society Caramel Apple fundraiser as helping making those as part of it, and that's always been my favorite one.
Thank you.
Excellent. Could you go back to the slide of the Marys that you had listed there?
Of the what?
The people that help the Mayor's Youth Commission.
Oh, sure.
Advisors.
The advisors, yeah, thank you, Alex. But, that's really a super lineup, too. It really is. And you should all be commended for the hard work and the dedication you give the students. But I mean, everybody in here is valuable, but I also just want to point out the police officers. Bowling, am I pronouncing that right?
Sure.
Bollinger. Officer Bollinger and Officer.
And now we have Terry Ivner.
And Officer Ivner, really, and that speaks volumes for the Mayor's Youth Commission. Not to take away from your other list, because you've got a lot of superstars on this list, but I just want you to know to appreciate to have officers that are dedicated to the work you're doing. Really speaks volumes for how good you really are and what your accomplishments are.
Thank you.
Yeah, we normally don't get the police here unless we have problems, so you guys.
It's actually nice being here for this.
I know why you're here. You're not here for us, Terry.
In the right
Well, good
way.
job on another great year. Congratulations. You guys are doing a great job.
So you're all graduating, is that right? You're all seniors? How many seniors? Who are the seniors? So you all hopefully will be
All
great.
going to Morningside or Western Iowa Tech.
He just doesn't,
South
Cliff,
Dakota
or-
State.
he doesn't let up, does he?
I said or Western Iowa Tech or Briar.
Move on to citizen
Well,
concerns. Any
before-
citizen want to be
one-
heard,
just-
please come to the mic and state your name and address for the record and tell us what you'd like to talk about.
Just one more thing I do want to say to you, and I do mean this. You know, in life, it's a two-way street, so hopefully you're feeling the support of the mayor and the council too for what you're doing. I hope you feel that, you know that we're here to support.
That podium there.
It's
I'm
on the
sorry.
recycle.
Yep.
is where it would go.
Thank you all very much.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Name's Dwayne Sturgis. I live at 3511 Parkview Boulevard. Last week, you guys closed the road between 14th Street and 7th Street, Cedar. I think Rick Bertrand was down here, talked about it or something.
Yes.
A lot of people in Kelly Park never was informed of this. That's why we're here. And there's a lot of people who use that road, get from one side to the other. Bacon Creek's on the other side of the road there. Camp High Hope. A lot of people over there come over to see us. We go over to see them. It's just, we want to know why we weren't informed in Kelly Park.
First of all, it wasn't Bertrand that spoke on it as much as,
Rick, Bob?
no, people that farm Kotzel Farm.
What's a Simone, wasn't
Moni
it?
kid, yes,
Oh, Jeff?
yes. And the reason you weren't notified is because when you close a road or a street, you have to be within 350 or 300 feet of the deal, so that's why.
So it's not gonna be open, or, we got kids in the neighborhood ride their bikes to Bacon Creek in the summer to go fishing and walk around. Got old people that go out there and walk around. Now you want them to drive all the way around to get there?
I'd like to say something. Mike Szymanski, I live at 1205 Martha Street. Isn't there a safety issue here? If there's some sort of disaster by the train tracks, that would be our only exit route away from that area. Any other streets would take us back towards the train tracks. So if there was some sort of major ammonia leak or something from a train wreck,
That's not the
where
only
would we
way.
go?
That's not the only way. I can drive around, you can go up through the hills and get out. I do it all the time. I make it over to the old school over there in Correctionville Road I don't have to go through the old Cott Road to do that.
There is no other way back over to
Yes, there
Correctionville
is.
Road.
But that's.
What
that's-
train tracks are you talking about, Mike?
What's that?
What train tracks are you
We're
talking
talking
about?
about on Lewis Boulevard.
If you
If
go
there
up
was some
7th
sort of
Street by
disaster and there was a chemical release, we would have no exit route.
If you go up 7th Street,
Yeah, and you're going right back towards the tracks.
no, you don't. You can go down those streets, those back streets, like 10th, like Pacific or whatever, get on 7th, go back over and around to the old school and hit Correction, go to Hy-Vee that way. I've done it. There's more
But
than
again,
one.
we have to head back west to get to those roads. From where I live, I would have to go several blocks back to the west to get to the roads you're talking about.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have an impact with the railroad tracks, should you?
I'm just saying, do you have ammonia trains or anything go through here? Do we have any kind of chemical trains? If there's a chemical release and the wind is blowing in that direction,
Oh, I thought you were indicating that they could
I'm talking about if
be
there was a disaster on
blocking
the
and you
train
wouldn't be able to
tracks,
get to where
yeah,
you wanted to go, but.
we would have no exit from that area. You know, if we got up a petition in those neighborhoods, would that do us any good?
Well, I think that guy asked that last week and we
Yeah.
said you certainly can try.
Wasn't it the petition though of the property owners that were within that 300-foot?
Yeah, it was
area that-
11 of the 12 property
kicked-
owners.
Wanted it closed.
Yeah.
There's only one that Cott's owned both sides of that road there.
I think people were petitioned on both ends of it though, and there was 11 out of the 12 people that live in that radius were all for closing it due to the danger and due to the trash and the dumping and things like that. So what we said last week to a gentleman that had similar concerns to you is that if you want to go and petition or find others that say no, there's more value to it, you can certainly bring that forward to us as information. But we went off of the people that were directly impacted right there that live adjacent to it. And they said,
That's the road.
there's so much danger with cars flipping over that's happened numerous times, that people dump their garbage and their couches and all that. They just saw it as.
That is very minimal.
First of all, I've never seen a car flip over there. I've been there 30-some years, and there is trash. That's not household trash, just branches, maybe a few tires, maybe a couch here and there. But
I've lived in that area.
It's nothing really that bad.
For 42 years, and I've never seen a car flip over in that area. And I've gone that way numerous times throughout those years. And there is trash, and that is very minimal. It wouldn't be a major safety issue, I wouldn't think.
I understand. Well, yeah, that's what was brought forward by the petitioners and saying that they would like that closed due to the safety and the trash. So as we said last week, if you want to develop a petition to bring forward and say, no, all these people think it should be open for this reason or that reason, you would have a stronger argument then, yeah.
Actually, on one side, there's only 2 houses, and on the other side, there's only the cot farm. And I think Rick and Bob's daughter in her yards, or 300, whatever feet, yards, whatever you wanted it.
You're impacting a lot of people.
A lot of people take that road back and forth, and we have people that come this way.
And we would have liked to have been notified, so we could have been down here last week.
And we did traffic
This was,
counts.
guys, last week was when somebody came just like you. This was over 3 or 4 weeks ago. They closed it a week ago, but it wasn't last week. It was on the agenda, just so you understand, for clarification.
Yeah, it was closed Monday. I went up there and I seen it was closed.
Right.
I've talked to Bob and Jeff Simone about it. I go up there all the time, so. But
So you've talked to the 2 owners that are nearby?
I know them. I know everybody that lives around that neighborhood.
Are they still wanting it closed?
They want it closed, but that's for their own purpose. He's gonna run his cows down the road. Let them eat the grass in the ditch. If it's gonna be closed, it needs to be barricaded, not farm gates for their personal use. If the road's closed, it's closed for everybody.
Well, it was closed. It wasn't vacated or sold.
Temporarily closed.
Temporarily closed.
Temporarily
Not a
closed.
permanent closure.
That's why there's not a permanent closure on it.
Not permanent.
So how long is
There's a
temporary
lot of
supposed
people that use that road. I mean,
And we did traffic counts
Yeah,
and it
there's-
showed that there wasn't a lot of use on that road. I'm trying to remember, wasn't it 24 over,
Yeah.
I forget what it was, 24
It was a
cars
small number.
over a
You're
certain
right.
period of time
Yeah,
or something.
20.
You're right in the ballpark.
So they did traffic counts to make sure it wasn't impacting a great deal of people. And that's what the traffic count showed. But like I said, I mean, the best thing that you could do is definitely if you want to start a petition and bring it forward and say, all these people utilize this road or see this need, I mean, that would be a compelling argument that you could make.
Why does he want it closed? What's
I
his-
tend to agree, like, typically speaking, there's 2 sides to every story. And the vast majority of the people who presented their arguments agreed that it was necessary or for the betterment of that area, the geographical area, to close the road. And I understood the littering problem to be a great deal more than what it sounds like you think it may be. So I personally believe that we were making the right decision, but if you think there's a side that we don't know about, that's maybe where you want your petition and to bring people to share their thoughts, and certainly it can be revisited.
It's, actually, we use it quite a bit.
Do you?
Go back and forth. We got people that come the other way. And now you're sending us all the way around to.
Right.
And the way Bob was talking there, that 7th Street up around in there, them are all dirt roads.
Yeah, they are.
They're not gravel, they're dirt.
But I think the mayor's right. I
Well,
think
they're wet. You ain't going
You can
that
go
way.
north and you can go south and you can go east and get out of there, okay. But might be a little bit longer time instead of going over to Lewis and north or south from there, but you can get out of there. You know the roads well enough.
Oh, you can get through there.
Yes.
But this is,
But I'm not worried about myself. My wife is not gonna be very good on muddy roads. My daughter, not gonna be very good on muddy roads. You know, I'm concerned about other people.
I'm just saying,
Well, I
in the
appreciate
summer, this is a good access for the neighborhood kids. They ride their bikes out to Bacon Creek, and a lot of old people take their pets out there and walk, and some of them still go out there during the day. But I don't think they'll go if they gotta drive all the way around.
You believe there's a lot of people to the north of that area who would
Sure there is.
Yes.
That actually
prefer
use
that
I
it
think
remain
on the
open?
Correctionville side, there'd be people that wanna come back that way. On our side, there's numerous people that wanna go. I think if petition, we would have no problem getting numerous signatures.
Okay, then that's the next step.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
You're
welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, thank
See
you.
you. Take care.
Rhonda?
See, Mike, thank you.
Anyone else? Council concerns. We have a student here today. Where are you from?
Yeah.
No, you can just tell us. Morningside. Is that the name of the high school out there, or is that a college, or what?
No,
Hey, we'll find out this Saturday.
yeah, we may.
Battle
We
of
may.
the Saddle.
We're glad to have you here today.
And just for the purpose of full disclosure, my oldest daughter graduated from Morningside, so I don't have anything against it. She got a great
So did
education.
mine. She's got a little bit less coming in the will, but that's okay.
And I've been to Morningside many times,
Yeah.
There you go.
Good one.
college, but.
Yeah. Places around it.
Real quickly for me, I just wanted to acknowledge and congratulate the police and the task force, the drug task force. I don't think we've got the information on it in a timely manner, but, or I think council members probably would have been in attendance. I'm sure they would have been. But there were a couple of Sioux City police officers, Mike Simons and Heather Albrecht, who, and along with the drug task force officers and federal prosecutors who were recognized last week for their outstanding work on a murder case back from 2011. And the award itself is a federal law enforcement award, and they're not given out very readily. So this is a special acknowledgement and for law enforcement in our area, which I've always believed to do a very good job. This is really something special, and I want them to know that I'm sure the council as a whole really appreciates all the work that they and the drug task force, which includes county, state, and federal officers, do a great job, and for that we're very much appreciative. And I wanted to real quickly acknowledge the staff and volunteers for the NEIA National Volleyball Championships. They did another great job. It was the 10th year for the volleyball tournament, and it was a great tournament. I was down Saturday evening. I know Mr. Moore was, and I'm not sure if anybody else was, but if I missed you, Alex was there. Saturday evening was, the championship game was jam-packed. They had a great crowd, and it was a great tournament again. And again, all of the staff, maybe a special recognition for Corey Westra and Mike Skaggs. Corey probably is, obligated to be there for commissioner of the GPAC, and maybe not, but he and Mike do a great job of helping to coordinate and run the tournament, and are there to handle any issues that come up. So, and I know they spend a lot of time, and so again, for that, very appreciative. It reflects very well on the city's ability to host and represent our community well. And I just never, ever, for all the years I've gone to those events, hear anybody say anything negative. And so I think that reflects well upon the city, and couldn't do it without staff and volunteers. And then finally, I didn't get a chance when during the consent agenda. I didn't want to break up the mayor because he was on a roll there, but I just want to acknowledge the museum's annual report too, and I concur with everything Dan said about the Mayor's Youth Commission, but The director, Steve Hansen, I think in his report indicated something like 228 educational programs over the last year. And when you talk about volunteer hours, 7,513 hours of volunteer work by volunteers, interns, and board members. And truly, we talked about that briefly at the beginning with the committees and commissions we try to get people involved in, and they do become involved in and do a great job. Things like this museum, art center, Mayor's Youth Commission, and an acknowledgement to the chamber, because the chamber supports the Mayor's Youth Commission a great deal too, and Mary was doing that when she still worked full-time. So for that, again, I'm certain we're all very appreciative. So just wanted to get that in the record, but thank you.
Well, I got a couple things today. First of all, tomorrow is, we're having our home park recognition. We're having our sponsors and guests come. It's gonna be from 5 to 7. We're real excited about that. We're gonna have it. Okay, so we're getting a little snow, but we're also gonna have snow making, so that's gonna be a big deal. So that's.
Casual attire.
What's that?
Casual attire?
Casual attire.
Yeah, casual attire.
Can I wear my Briarcliff shirt?
Yeah, you can wear your Briarcliff shirt. You can wear your Morningside shirt. We'll push you down the hill.
Mayor's getting a chuckle out of that, you guys. Casual attire.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we're good. Casual's good.
Is there any?
Yeah,
just want to
Mayor's
make sure.
dressed up today, so we're good. Okay, one other thing is the Sioux City Journal Goodfellow Dog Auction is going to be Saturday. It's going to be at Ho Chunk. It starts at noon. They have a Maltese this year that they're going to be auctioning off, and they have done this for over 75 years, I believe, and it's for a wonderful cause. That I know last year they took care of over 8,000 kids. So all the monies stay here in town. Every cent goes to the kids, and that's very important. So, and then one last thing is, I want to wish my son a happy birthday. Today's his birthday. He's 34. And
It's a good day for birthdays. Today's Matt Scott's.
Oh,
it is. There you
we
go.
have kids with the same date birthday.
Oh my God! What did you do for him?
Took him to the lunch out to Texas Roadhouse and made a donation to the firemen.
Oh, that's
today.
awesome. Yeah. Well, I took my kid a big cake from Hy-Vee, and Tires is where he works. He's mechanic, and they very excited about that. So that's it.
Great.
Way to go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
To both of them.
Happy birthday.
Yep, we love you.
Both good kids.
There you go. They got jobs. You can't ask for much more.
That's right.
All right, just a few things that I would go through. First and foremost, I wanted to thank everyone that came, including members of council, to the Riverfront Development public input meeting. I thought there was a good conversation that was had, some idea generation. I thought the group was giving good direction, kind of what we would like to prioritize, as well as some concerns. And there was just a positive dialogue. And I know Pete especially is a big advocate of this, of just trying to get more people involved and get as much community input as we can. So thank you, Director Salvador and others that put that in place. It was good. Good turnout. And then I would also echo the comments about the NAIA tournament. I thought it was ran very well. The one thing that I always appreciate is the teams, just how excited they are, and our sponsors too. I think that our sponsors really take it seriously. And I was talking with Adrian Coble, who I think deserves a shout out as well, for all the hours he put in, as well as Glenn too. Glenn got recognized at the banquet for his final year that he'll be doing this. So kudos to both of them. But what we were talking about with the sponsors is it's such like a family atmosphere where these teams come in, and whoever sponsors them oftentimes will maybe go out to dinner with them or just kind of interact with them on a level that I don't think we see in any other communities, or at least that's what I've heard. So I would commend our community, our sponsors, teams, everyone that was there. I really think it was a great event, and I hope that it continues. I'm excited that they announced that it'll be here, the next 3 years? Yep. 3 years, I believe. So that's good. The next thing I would like to say was that Councilman Moore and myself were able to go to the screening of that film, the sequel to An Inconvenient Truth. And I don't know, that's just something that is pretty near and dear to me, something I'm all about, some renewable energies and how we can offset some of those costs. I think that it can benefit us financially as well as the environment. And I think that it's things that I'm committed to as a council member to continue pursuing. And I think there are a lot of members on this council that feel that same way. We're doing a lot of great things for the environment as far as the city. I think we're moving in some very good directions, and I'm excited about that, and I hope that we continue to do so. Yeah, exactly. I think the kudos, I'm glad he's here, goes to Mark Sims as well for his initiative, and incredible. And I hope we continue to do that, Mark. I really do. So thank you. But I think that was the last thing. Although I am excited, Pete. Saturday, Morningside versus Briarcliff.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a great basketball game.
I never bet more than a can of pop, but I'm willing to go a can of pop if you're willing.
Go
Great
have
basketball
ice
game.
cream. Do ice cream. Have a gallon of ice cream. That'd be a bigger one.
I probably have an extra ticket I could get.
2 and 4. There you go. 2 and 4 are the games.
2 and 4?
2 and 4. Might need to post it.
No, we're not gonna sit together.
Well, no, even if we're there, I don't know. Put it this way. I'm going.
Nicole, that doesn't present a problem, does it?
No,
As long
because
as you're not all gathered together
no,
discussing city
does
business.
not
you'll
create
be
a
fine.
problem.
What if we have a team huddle?
Don't do that.
You can't deliberate, that's the rule.
That's all I got, Mayor.
Okay. Just following up too, I want to compliment the mayor and the council on regarding the volleyball tournament. It was really outstanding to have the outside, the people that run the tournament nationwide, see that all of council was there for the banquet. I think that just spoke volumes that we really do care about it. So congrats on that. The mayor and I attended a very important member of our community, the Mount Zion Baptist Church. We attended the installation of their new pastor Sunday, and it was an excellent ceremony, and the mayor presented a commendation to the church and to the pastor, and I tell you, things are just looking really, really good for that church, and they continue to grow. They're getting stronger, and it's just really, and it's a remarkable facility. We've all been in it, and it's a beautiful facility, and it was really a great celebration. I'm glad we went and could represent the city. Just one question. I probably should know the answer to this, but when are we going to be talking again about that one ordinance about the
On the massage therapy ordinance,
Yeah.
I met with a group of massage therapists last Thursday. I believe that we'll have a few other meetings. Then they'll want to expand it to individuals that are kind of speaking about the human trafficking and want to be heard in relation to input on the ordinance, along with the police department. So we're still a ways off about bringing it back.
So it may push into the next year.
Right.
Into January, because we only have 2 more meetings left,
Correct.
the 11th and 18th.
Correct.
Okay.
The group that I met with last week, they had some proposed ideas of things they would like to change. So I'm going to take a look at the information that they've given me. Some can be done, some can't, but I want to make sure that I get input from everyone first.
The only thing I would ask at this point, just for me, would be to, I want to make sure we're tying in what the state requirements are versus what the city will be, that we don't duplicate and we don't waste time and money. If the application process is thorough for the state level, maybe there's a lot of that we could use at the city level to give the police the tools they need to do their job. So I just want to keep that in mind. I want to lose sight of the fact that there's still a state license that has to be applied for. I just don't know what the process is for that application.
Sure,
So
and
if
I'd be
you'd
happy
please
to
keep
meet
that-
with you and discuss
Yeah,
too
if you'd
as
please
well.
keep that in mind for me, I would appreciate it. Okay, that's all I have, Mayor.
Well, you guys took everything. I'm sorry, I could not make the riverfront. I was out of town. I would like to have something that I can look at though, if I could.
Sure.
Um,
To the PowerPoint.
Bob, you need to talk to cable because right after the carpet discussion, they cut us off and went to some other programming, which I realize that we don't have a franchise anymore, but either they run our council meeting or they don't, would be what I say.
Tell me what you're talking about, 'cause that might have, what, did they cut off the meeting?
Yes,
When, last week?
this week,
The live feed right now.
this week. Just got an email from Glenn Olson.
There, it wasn't purposeful, I can assure you, it's some, Malfunction.
Well, let's check the malfunction and get it handled. How does that sound?
Won't I, Bob?
Yes, you will.
At least it's got it.
And I hope the fire department did raise a lot of money. They seem to have a fairly good crowd today, and that goes to a good cause, the St. Florians, I think it is, so.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Have they done that before?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Every year.
Oh, they do every year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They also have isn't it the chili cook-off too? Is for St. Florian?
Yeah, but that's in the summer, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the summer one.
Okay. So, all right, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Moore,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters,
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
Hey, Mark.
Aye. Thanks, you guys. Thank
Thanks.
you.
You're welcome.